It's dinner time at the Thomas household. Thayer and Drake make the short commute to Wake Forest for consumption and conversation with their parents, Trevor and Shelley. Out of uniform, it's pretty easy to see which one of the Thomas brothers is a linebacker and which one is a wide receiver. Separated by 2 years, the connection of kinship reveals some similarities.
They're both sensitive, very sensitive. One you would probably expect it out of, and the other one you might not expect it out of. Differences? One's laid back and one is high strung, and you can probably tell. Maybe you can't, I don't know.
Drake, the linebacker, a hunter of contact with hopes of delivering pain upon his arrival.
Thomas sacks him. Man, did he wallop him.
Thayer, the wide receiver, never afraid to absorb contact as he searches for an open avenue to the end zone.
I'm in the trenches just as much as he is, taking hits from linebackers. As a younger brother, I don't want anybody to say he's tougher than me, so I got to try to prove it every play.
Football has just been my thing just because of the physicality of it. I just always, focus on that. That's the only reason I would say myself. That's because I've always considered myself to be a football player.
We're not saying you're a softy, Thayer.
No. I understand that. I have the same toughness he has just because.
No, he does, because just coming up in the same household, all the morals and everything instilled into us has been, toughness and work ethic. Yeah.
The standard in our household is pretty high.
Yeah.
The standard is just do the best you can.
We expect a lot, and if you don't do it, you're going to hear about it.
After a bad game, our parents aren't going to, beat around the bush or whatever. They're going to
100% straightforward to you.
Especially my mom.
We always looked at what we thought that they could do better.
Not a lot of sugarcoating?
Never, no. And so it was kind of a balance between the two of us, right? Shelley was in certain aspects of their lives, she pushed a little harder, and then in other aspects of their lives, I pushed a little harder. And but together, I wouldn't say it was good cop, bad cop, but it was sometimes, the same. The message was consistent, that's for sure.
Trevor and Shelley took part in athletics and saw the life lessons that sports and physical activities could teach. They introduced that to their sons at an early age, like 2 and 3 years old.
We did do gymnastics.
He did gymnastics.
Yeah, I did it, but he was better than me at it. But
Gymnastics?
Yeah.
Really?
That was probably was the top, one of the first sports we started at.
It was more about strength and balance and tumbling and
Coordination.
and core strength.
When you're young, age like that, you can't lift weights at all.
True.
But being able to do body weight push-ups, sit-ups, just stuff like that. Being able to
hold your stuff up on the bar and stuff like that.
Handstand.
Thayer was more into the gymnastics, and he was like 7 years old, and from that he had the six-pack. He had he was pretty ripped kid.
Ripped at 7.
My body makeup is more of a gymnast, I guess you would say. When he was growing up, I'm not going to say he was fat, but he was a little bit more chunky, and so he wasn't the best gymnast.
Gymnastics gave way to soccer, basketball, baseball, and yes, football. There are also plenty of in-house activities and competitions as well.
We would play knee football with my little brother in the living room, and we would play a game where he would have to, the end zone was the couch, and I was on my knees and he had to jump over me, and I would flip him, and we played wiffle ball. We got in trouble for playing wiffle ball in the TV room and knocking one of the speakers down or something like that.
My dad's very special in the way he would be the all-time quarterback at halftime of a college or a Super Bowl game in the living room and allow us to play.
We would play tackle football.
And he would be the quarterback and I would be a receiver, he'd be defense, we'd switch it up.
We never restricted ball in the house, right? And so it was just a part of kind of what we did, who we are.
That sort of started, the love that we have just for sports.
As Drake and Thayer grew older, their passion for sports became a purpose. The teammates in youth sports eventually became teammates at Heritage High School in Wake Forest for 2 years. Whatever was in season was their sport, but there was something extra special about sharing a football field together.
So I had to play JV 2 years, freshman and sophomore year. My first varsity game was his first varsity game. I think he was the leading tackler of the game, and I was the leading receiver, and I had the first touchdown of the year. It was just a cool experience. I was like, dang, this is pretty cool. And then the next year, we go on, and we have a great season. And at the end of the year, we both were first team all conference. He was in defensive MVP, I think, that year, and I was the offensive MVP. In my opinion, I was I really wasn't ready for it to end.
There was no guarantee they would remain teammates in college, or if both would have the chance to play.
When we started them into sports, we never intended for them to be Division I athletes. We didn't.
I don't think we ever had those conversations.
No, it never did. It was about the other stuff. It's the things that you gain from playing sports, and
Or like we never said, if you do this, you might get a scholarship. Like we never
never
talked
talked
about
about-
athletic
it
scholarships.
wasn't never
I
about
was
that.
always about academic scholarships,
Yeah.
but we never had those
it
conversations.
was never about getting a scholarship. It was never about playing professional. It's about following your heart.
Thayer was a Wolfpack walk-on who eventually earned a full scholarship.
My life would be completely different if I didn't decide to walk on here. Like, it's just crazy to think about it.
I will be committing to North Carolina State University.
Drake was more heavily recruited by multiple schools, but his decision to join the Wolfpack was helped by what he saw from his brother.
I saw like the great experience that he had already had here in such a short time, and how well he was doing and how much he'd gotten better and like the steps he's taken. And I just knew that like if I came here, like I could develop as a player and a person.
Two different paths, two independent people on opposite sides of the ball, with the same goal in mind, the same principles that started at home many years ago.
You know, it's been a blessing to watch those two be able to live this thing together.
It just makes it special.